Today, we are going to be talking about student protests again. Obviously, student protesters keep getting met with agitators and the media both sidesing it. ICC arrest warrants for BBN war cabinet. Will it happen? Pressure mounts in Israel for ceasefire. And what else? U.S. threatening ceasefire talks if ICC sends warrants. Yeah, the United States is insane. Of course, as always, in the most predictable ways possible, the United States is behaving in the worst way possible because we are the worst. Not if U.S. won't allow it. Pressure mounts in Israel for ceasefire and more. Get in now. Twitch.tv/Hasanabi. I'd like to join a student campus protest. They're a good way to find where they're being held. I tried searching up nearby campuses, but it's just the admin social media. Just look up. I saw a clip of you talking about mainstreaming students with disabilities in the general settings. Wait, what? Oh, hold on. I'll look at that in a second. Police gathering at University of Texas again today. Nice. Watched challengers. Okay. Here it is. Okay, we're blasting off. Let the people know. But hey, chatters who are wondering if there are student encampments in your neighborhood, in your vicinity, in the school, in your local school, here's a quick little tip. Google SJP, okay, SJP, and then put in whatever your school's name is, and you will very easily find out. You can also try, you plug and repeat, JVP, Jewish Voice of Peace, Students for Justice for Palestine, SJP, or DSA, insert school name, and you will find what they're doing. Okay? Most schools are doing something. What's up with the speaker, Jackson Hinkle, getting banned from Emory? I mean, it's valid. Come on, dude. He's a fucking opportunist grifter. Get the hell out of here. Oh, the only thing he cares about is boosting his public profile. I rarely ever say this about people who are like in support of Palestine because honestly, there is not really much support. It's not good for it is definitely not good for your career, quote unquote, especially if you're in media or anywhere else, as a matter of fact. But that doesn't stop some from being opportunists. Obviously, there's two different types of opportunists out there. Jackson Hinkle is a very unique type of opportunist. But most of the opportunists that I'm talking about usually are just like straight fascists that take advantage of the momentum surrounding pro-Palestinian movements to say like this is all the fault of Jews, to try to like drum up anti-Semitic commentary. Anyway, but yeah, I saw a clip of you talking about mainstreaming students with disabilities in a general setting help with normalizing, which you were entirely correct on. So don't say it's unscientific. You were on the money, dog. I feel like at the time when I was working with children with autism, and I don't mean like now, like directly hands-on working with children with autism, at that time I noticed that like a lot of the parents were very careful, but the parents themselves most likely, especially the male parents themselves, most likely also had undiagnosed autism. Obviously, a big part of the reason why autism has like skyrocketed in children, especially boys, is diagnosis, right? Like we figured out a way better way to understand what autism is and how to diagnose it. And then we were like, oh shit, there's like hella autistic boys out there. Now, we still obviously don't know how to diagnose autism in women in general. So like that kind of stuff is scientific. When I talk about that kind of stuff, hey, Majority Report, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. That obviously is scientific, right? Like I get that. However, a lot of these parents I noticed were like definitely undiagnosed autistic, and it made me feel like, well, these guys fucking grew up in a rough and tumble environment in Gen Pop. You know what I mean? They were just seen as like weird. They were put through the ringer. They were socialized, but they obviously like socialized in a diverse, mixed environment, right? And by diverse, I mean like neurotypical, neuroatypical, doesn't matter. People just didn't really distinguish between these sorts of things. And I'm like, well, you obviously are way more, I know the term is no longer high functioning, but what is it? Like you have way better social capabilities than your son. So what the fuck's that about? Like, you also are autistic. Your son is also autistic. Low support needs. Okay, yeah, you are obviously lower support need, autistic. You know what I mean? Like, and it made me, at that point, from seeing it over and over again, I developed this thought in my mind that, like, maybe they shouldn't be so fucking careful with their children. Like, maybe the level of attentiveness that a lot of these wonderful parents put in to their children with autism is like almost backfiring on them. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. Were people you're supporting in private or a public program? No, this was like a private charity. Anyway, so autism is nurture, not nature? No, dude, what? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that, like, development for children with autism obviously is always going to be nurture and nature. And on the nurture front, it does feel like a mixed learning environment is probably beneficial for the autistic children to develop and have lower support needs. That's what it feels like. Because I do think that, like, super attentive. I mean, there was like a lot of dietary stuff that they were doing. It felt a little bit like, it did feel, especially at the time, remember this was like 10 years ago. It felt like there was a lot of like kooky science, like people just trying to do whatever they can. And the attitude back then definitely was like, because I used to work with Autism Speaks, but the attitude back then was very much like cure focused, which was like odd. You know what I mean? Which it no longer is. That's actually, for anyone who's like tapped into the autism lore and the development or like how that kind of stuff worked back then. It was regarded as like bad and problematic, but also like unproductive to think about autism as like something you need to cure. You know what I mean? And not something that you just manage. Right? Anyway, it's like people that never learned to drive in a shitbox not having access to cars with major driver assist. They never developed the basic skills to drive and rely entirely on driver assistance. Kind of. All right. So, your university just launched an encampment. Rutgers pulling through. Yeah, it's not shocking. Emhad and I can both tell you, as homeschooled kids, who were not sheltered, we were only kind of weird. The sheltering is why homeschoolers end up very weird. It doesn't help. A lot of ones we grew up with were autistic too, so it exacerbated it. Yeah. Posting hot takes about autism in chat to see if someone gets hyperfixated and kills me. Don't do that. Don't even joke about that, because it will happen. Sounding like XQC right now. Wait, what? Anyway, an encampment just went up on my campus an hour ago. It's true, homeschooling sucked ass. Now I'm dumb and awkward as fuck. Jesus, bro. Yeah, let's get into it. We'll talk about the student encampments in a little bit. Let's start off before we get to that. Oh, there's also some fun news. Free Stellar Blade. Change.org petition. 49,000 signatures. These guys actually put their faces on it too, which makes it so much funnier. The content has been censored from the original trailer version posted by Sony. We as gamers want this content back. We relied on it. We made the game the #1 pre-order worldwide. Obviously, we'll talk about that as well. Horny gamers going crazy over Stellar Blade. That's sick. Here's a quick thirst trap start.
Doors pop off in Grand Theft Auto so fucking fast. I don't understand it. That shit's impossible.
I hate.
Anyway, state troopers at the University of Texas, Austin. Of course they are. We'll cover all that. Don't worry. Hi, King. I'd get into a homoerotic tennis rivalry over you. Thanks. This is also another great edit. What is this?
How dare you?
Oh, we already saw this one. This is crazy. I got like a I can't believe I got like an actual fucking Sigma edit, dude.
How dare you say it's okay to talk about an intifada?
Well, intifada simply just means revolution, and I'm an American, and in 1776,
Violent
we did
revolution.
one of those, and it was pretty fucking good. What do you think? The American.
Okay, we also
dissolve the apartheid.
Drop ties in this bitch. Drop like flies in this bitch. I cut ties in this bitch. I'll cut ties in your face. Yeah, cut you like a
Called the
Yes,
dissolution of the apartheid regime.
Yeah, I got a fucking Sigma ass edit, dude. Let's go. I've seen online opinion about you take quite the dramatic change in the Piers Morgan debate. Yeah, because people only know me outside of this community. People only know me in like whatever my fucking dumbass haters say. That's the problem. So when they actually see me pop off in the exact same way that I pop off at a fucking dumbass chatter, when it's in context and you recognize that I'm yelling at someone who deserves it, they're like, oh shit, that's sick. But if you're on the outside and someone is just going, oh, I'm just being curious, and you don't see it because you only watched like the clips being totally massaged to fit a specific narrative by weirdo haters, then yeah, you're gonna develop a feeling that I'm like a very angry person who's like unjust and too woke and annoying. I don't know.
Come on, flex it.
I want them real thick and juicy. So find that juicy double. Mix a lot's in trouble. Begging for a piece of that bubble. So I'm looking at rock.
I don't know. Things are happening in the world, and I like it. Commenters likes your economics.
I don't have
I saw
investment.
this one. Oh, not this one, but I did see Iced Coffee Hour has been posting a lot of the clips from our conversation on TikTok, and honestly, I love going into the comments to see. And there's hella people out here. There's hella people out here who are just like, this guy's, I hate this guy, but like, honestly, he's kind of based here. I haven't seen this one yet, but I guess Austinox archived it. I just liked it. But anyway, they kept pushing back their deadlines because the plans were leaked. So a couple hundred students showed up to show support. Hassan has invested into unions and labor action. Why would he want to invest in the greedy companies that put profits over people? I truly don't get how so many commenters dislike Hassan. Lol, he's a multimillionaire who works for Amazon. Relax. And yet he has a lot of integrity. Practice what he preaches. You can't respect that. Sounds like cope. Integrity, lol, what? Yeah, these guys have no understanding of what I preach or what I practice. They just fucking angrily yell.
Why? So, I know everybody always.
Yeah, because that seems silly to me to not want to invest in a country that's given you so much opportunity as well.
Because I love the positive way in which they cover investments. There is no moral duty to invest. You just either invest because you want your capital to accumulate and work for you, or you don't. That's it. D fans are trying to make the obsessed label a badge of honor. It's hilariously pathetic. That's so weird. Yeah, one of them actually literally in public was screaming at me at the Israel protest. You guys didn't see it because it was off camera. Like a dude, literally, when I was on my way downstairs to grab some fucking pizza for the protesters that I bought, there was a dude who was like, Hassan, I hate you. Like his voice was breaking with how much he was screaming. And then he was like, I hate you. I love Destiny. I was just like, damn, bro. Like that is an incredibly sad way to fucking live your life. You know what I mean? That's crazy. He's just like standing outside with the Zionist counter protesters. He's just like made up his mind that I'm like a lover of terrorism. And he's just sitting there with like the 70-year-old dudes fucking trying to shit on college students. Nah, please say you're making that up. Nope. I wish I was. You know who was there? He might not have even heard it, but the tall one, Zachary, he was there with me while we were walking. He's so obsessed. Yeah, I saw that he was like, it's so fucking dumb. Why does he think this is a good own? Like, why does he think he just keeps saying, like, if I pay part of their college tuition sounds like one of the most empty statements ever. Did he make $50,000 or $20,000? And it's such a weird fucking thing to like try and do propaganda against, because like there are a shit ton of people like this out there who have made some money, and they're gonna, I didn't ask them to say anything. They're the ones who came up to me. This is the dude who came up to me at the fucking protest. It's not like I was like, oh yeah, lie and say that I paid your fucking tuition with my with you know, with your channel or something. He came up to me randomly. I responded. Somebody basically fucking, somebody put it on LSF. Dexerto posted it. They're just mad that like things organically happen. It's not something I talk about or promote all that much. You know what I mean? It's just very weird to be this fucking obsessed. And of course, when you're this obsessed, other people are going to come out and be like, yeah, dude, you're fucking stupid. I'm making a lot of money this way as well. So yeah, Hasanabi Industries. I did exactly the same thing as Daily Dose of Hasanabi. I paid for a year upfront, zero debt, and I have left university to pursue editing as a career. Hassan the Hun has changed my life. And I don't know why, like, this dude, I guess, just doesn't fucking understand. I forgot to add, I injured my knee in January and my insurance didn't pay for anything, so all my medical bills were paid for with the Clip channel. Like, it's just hyper obsessed. It just comes across as like very obsessed, which it is. Yeah, I posted it again. I said, fuck copyright last night. They're not mad about things happening or that this is dishonest. They're mad because it's you, and they're going to find a way to vilify you in public. Yeah, but when your brain is so broken with like fuck Hassan hatred, and I wonder if there's like people in Destiny's community that recognize that, like, hey man, maybe these aren't my fucking grudges. Like maybe this is the guy who I'm watching, who I've developed a parasocial relationship with, who has like this very weird vendetta and very weird, very public grudge. Maybe I shouldn't feel this fucking angry towards this guy. Cause it's like, dude, are you okay? Like, what are you, why are you trying to fucking, I don't get it. Like, how is this a thing that you're mad about? You just come across like a fucking unhinged hater. Anyway, his community mostly just thinks he was a lolcow. I know, but what a lot of these people don't understand, and many people don't understand this, is that when we're inside of a hug box, when we're inside of an echo chamber, when we're inside of like these super sheltered communities, you'll end up unironically coming across like a fucking weirdo when most people will look at this and go, this is objectively a nice thing. Do you understand? Like, the fact that you know what a lolcow is, for the record, already gives you, like, it already gives up the game. Like, I know what it is because I'm a brain broken loser. You know what I mean? Do you think the average person knows what a fucking lolcow is? Do you think that this passes the bus driver test? It doesn't. Hey, excuse me, Mr. Bus Driver, sir. There's a content creator out there who raises a lot of money for like charities, raises a lot of money for a cause that he believes in, raises a lot of money for fucking labor unions and stuff. And I actually despise him. And we get together online every night, a bunch of our friends, we watch him so we can clip some of the stuff that he says out of context and then vilify him. And that's how we make fun. What do we get out of it? Well, there's a thing called karma. So there's a website, it's like a forum where I go and post these clips, and then all of these other people who also pathetically are obsessed with like everything this guy does, well, we all get excited at the prospect of him looking bad. Obviously, sometimes it's a swing and a miss, like when the broader public looks at the situation and goes, yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, this dude owns, and then we look kind of sweaty and loserfied. But he streams for 10 hours a day. Inevitably, we'll catch him again slipping, catch him again saying something that we can cut to deliberately massage the narrative once again that he's actually a bad guy. So that's what we do. Go ahead, explain that to a fucking bus driver. Explain that to any normal person, that you're doing this because you get a sense of community and you get some karma on a website. Do you make money off of that? Absolutely not. Doesn't even matter. No, you're doing it for free. Do you get it? I hope this like shakes some people out of the stupor that they're in, because it's very weird. It's a very weird thing to do. You were see, like this guy's from that community, and he's like, I think of you as a lol cow, and so do many others. You were calling for the assassination of a U.S. senator. Go ahead, explain that as well. Explain that to another bus driver. Hey, so you know how Shinzo Abe was killed by a Fallout 3 style gun? One funny thing that a lot of edgy people online like to do is post the gun, post the schematics of the gun that killed in the most successful political assassination of all time, as a matter of fact, or at least in our generation, Shinzo Abe. Why did he do that? Why did this political commentator do that? Oh, that's right. The guy was actually calling to fucking assassinate protesters. Assassinate student protesters that are anti-genocide. Oh, our community also loves saying slurs, by the way. We're very edgy. We love a fucking pedophile Nazi who lost his entire career because he was way too pedophilic and way too Nazi, so that Adult Swim literally dropped him. But hey, this other guy actually, he posted a Fallout meme gun, so we're going to cry about it for hours and hours. Also, my favorite content creator loves saying the N-word all the time. Says it publicly, broad daylight, regularly. And then we get really mad when this guy that we hate in the fucking community says cracker. We get him banned off the platform, despite the fact that we all unify around, you know, being able to say slurs as white guys. Go ahead. You understand that, like, when people put it into terms like this, you come across like a fucking insane person, right? It's like I'm insane just for knowing about it. Yeah, look in the DGG group chat. I'm sure they got a good fucking response for you, and then you can copy and paste it in here. Anyway, it was like a very weird thing, and this is a very weird thing. It's just like obsessed. It's pathetic, and I'm telling you right now, you would unironically be a happier person if you didn't do that. One day. You know? One day. Does that more not understand by definition clip chimps ignore context? Yes. Yeah. Oh, also, turns out, remember that guy that we were just talking about? Nice job on, here's what he said after Piers Morgan. I didn't even know that he had this take, but it turns out he said, nice job on Piers Morgan. The slow motion car crash of your career is great content. It was pretty successful. You are literally what I'm talking about, brother. You are divorced from reality. Like, you know how, like, this should be a moment of self-reflection. This should be a moment where you take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath and go, wait a minute. I felt this way, and very strongly so, because someone motivated me to feel this way, right? Someone in the community that I participate in made me feel a certain way, and it was able to literally warp your perspective so dramatically. Like, think about how that was received by the broader public versus think about how that was received by you and others in the community that you're in. Doesn't that spell trouble for you, that you are that far removed? Like, you are that far removed from the way normal people receive a type of information versus the way you feel. You know? There's a catastrophe going on with 32-year-old IT support agents who want to use slurs due to that debate being successful and viewership being up. Yeah. Anyway. All I see is someone rotting in their room all day. Me? Bitch, you think I'm rotting? You think I'm rotting? I'm outside every fucking day, son. I'm working out. I'm getting sunlight every goddamn day. Whew. Anyway. My brain is rotted, though, for sure. That part is definitely real. I sometimes think about the day that you became an I became an anti-Hassan guy and what kind of monster I become. Clearly, it has to happen eventually. You can't stay a Hasanabi head forever, apparently, lol. It will happen. It happens to a lot of people. It will inevitably happen. I'll probably ban you and you'll get mad. Or one of my mods will ban you for being weird and you won't understand the context. It depends on how much of a boomer you are, too. Sometimes people become like permanent haters because Fossabot clapped them because they were writing like long-ass fucking essays that they thought were well thought out. Anyway, but it's done. We're moving on. You just have to remember, like, it's okay to disagree with me on certain things. Obviously, there are some things that I will not accept or find appropriate, right? But it's okay and it's healthy to sometimes disagree with me on certain things. Okay? You just should not be an unhinged hater as a consequence of that disagreement. You know, it's not healthy to become a pathologically obsessed, hyperfixated loser. It's not good for you. It will only hurt more up here. You know? What you do is not healthy. It's not. No, of course it's not. I think you could use a softer touch with rad lib shit, but like you're not going to kill people in a wheelchair, so who cares? Well, the reason why I don't have a softer touch with Radlib shit is because I think Radlib stuff every now and then will be used to drive wedges in solidarity, and it does oftentimes get weaponized either voluntarily or willingly or without people recognizing it. So that's the issue. You only reply to easy dunks and never valid criticism. Look at my last message. No, I'm not going to reply to you because at the top of the hour there's a 3-minute ad break and you want to fucking get me to click on your profile. I haven't even seen your message and I know already because I know you. I know all of you. Trying to desperately get me to click on your profile so the message box opens up and I see that you were like spamming some message to try to get me to read it, to tell you that at the top of the hour there's a 3-minute ad break, which there is, by the way. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Yeah, put your fucking hands up, dude. You're arrested. Don't come at me like that. Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break now. What's your take on the idea that Zoomers are protesting Zionism because they're not sex havers?
Final.
Why does Scott Galloway think about 18-year-olds fucking so much? That's weird.
I think there's something bigger going on, Michael. I think that you have young people who are enraged by the lack of opportunity that they're presented with. I think that protesting is kind of the new, if you will, sex. Young people aren't having as much sex. I know how ridiculous that sounds, but
he's like, yeah, they won't fuck me. It's really weird. Back in the day, I used to clean up with the TAs and the research assistants. Nowadays, they won't fucking suck me. And it's really messed up. I'm the real victim, as always. Let me tell you guys, I, Scott Galloway, am the real victim. He's like, the young people aren't having sex as much. I can attest to that personally. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at the hosts. I didn't even notice. Look at the CNN. Look at the CNN commentator's face when he says that. Wait, what?
Something bigger going on, Michael. I think that you have young people who are enraged by the lack of opportunity that they're presented with. I think.
Okay, never mind. His face is just kind of like that, it seems.
Testing is kind of the new, if you will, sex. Young people aren't having as much sex. I know how ridiculous that sounds, but for the species to survive.
Oh my God. No, that's just his resting face. Oh my God, he has resting psycho killer face. What the hell is going on? He's literally like this. Remember when you guys asked me to smile more and I was like doing the What's up? Let's talk about ethnic cleansing today. That's him. He's got the Kubrick stare version of that, which is that's Michael Smerkonish. I listen to him a lot. He brings up the lack of sex thing a little bit too much.
You have to have young people connecting in terms of romantic opportunities, and also for the species to survive, you get a dopa hit from gathering together and fighting off a perceived enemy. And I think they're erring on the latter, if you will. I think they're on the hunt for what I'd call a fake mortal enemy. And the reality is, if you type in to Google anti-Semitism and pick any century in the last 3,000 years, you're going to find multiple instances where the world decides that Jews are the mortal enemy. And then finally,
Bro, Jews are not the mortal enemy. You have made up your mind that all of these people, by the way, this is the thing I never understand. I can't tell if someone who is dick riding Israel legitimately believes in their heart of hearts that this is pure anti-Semitism and nothing else. And I'm sure some of the Jewish chatters can speak to this. I cannot tell if they are cynically saying this. Like Jonathan Greenblatt, I think is cynically saying it, right? The Apartheid Defense League, I think he's a piece of shit. I think he's cynically saying it. And sometimes I talk to a lot of Christian Zionists cynically saying it. They're anti-Semitic. They don't give a shit. They're like actually anti-Semitic. They don't give a fuck about Jews. They just think that like this is a fun way to, or like a pretty successful way to say like, well, how could you say I'm anti-Semitic? I love Israel, which is where I want to send all the Jews to the desert. But there are, I think, some older Jews in America, like older Zionist Jews in America who like legitimately, and younger Zionist Jews in America as well, that like legitimately think saying Israel is fucked up and an apartheid state is like anti-Semitic. Like the person that's talking to you is actually not operating on like the boundaries of consciousness and being like a good person and thinking, hey, maybe you shouldn't murder fucking 15,000 children. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what they're upset about. It must be anti-Semitism. It must be. And I can never tell if someone is like legitimately, genuinely that hysterical, okay? Or if they are just cynically saying it. Now, Scott Galloway, probably cynical, right? Like part cynical, part hysterical. I don't know. But it just weirds me the fuck out. I'm Jewish. The overarching idea amongst Jewish moderates appears to be that anti-Semites latch on to anti-Israel demonstrations. Yeah, of course, but that does happen. Yes. Opportunists always try to fucking take advantage. The problem is the pro-Israel brigade literally is giving massive dubs to the fucking fascists. It makes me so mad by unironically operating in the most unhinged ways possible by saying like, no, these 18-year-olds who are like saying very openly and very clearly that, you know, you shouldn't do baby murder, like relentless baby murder and slaughter is unacceptable. Especially when those protests are like also led by Jewish students themselves. Like most people are not smart enough to fucking unmarry and decouple Israel from Judaism when every fucking Israeli organ of propaganda is saying, no, we're doing this for the Jews. We're doing this for the Jews. We're doing this for Judaism. And everyone against us is anti-Semitic. They are unironically, like, they're unironically making a lot of dumbasses fucking become like straight up anti-Semitic. It makes me so mad. I hate it. That's the problem. Some heckler at our encampment yesterday tried yelling, I'm Jewish, during a speech, and the speaker just yelled back, me too, and the heckler shut up. It was pretty funny. Yeah. At least he shut up. Anti-Semites cling on to the pro-Palestine side just to spread hate and widely do not represent the cause, while anti-Semites are quite literally welcomed with open arms on the pro-Israel side. This is also a very important distinction as well. Yeah. Like, the Zionist side literally will just be like, listen, I don't give a fuck what you believe as long as you think Israel is awesome and needs to be Jewish and needs to exist in the way that it does. You can literally be a fucking Hitler supporter like John Hagee, and we will welcome you with open arms at the fucking pro-State Department protest. It's crazy, man. It's so fucking crazy. Elon Musk literally said, straight up, Elon Musk literally said Jews are like demographically trying to ruin the Western supremacist nations and culture by doing unrestricted immigration. That, in German, is verbatim what Hitler said and what Hitler thought, and very successfully propagandized on. Verbatim. That's not like, I'm not exaggerating. The notion that Jews are trying to change American demographics by doing unrestricted open borders, by bringing black and brown people in this country, is literally fascist propaganda. A lot of Republicans say this too, but they at least don't like tie it back to the Jews directly. They'll just say George Soros. They'll just say, you know, someone is doing it. They're doing it. The Democrats are doing it, right? Like, it's still fascist propaganda regardless. Elon Musk said that is exactly right to a dude expressing this sentiment on his fucking website. Yeah, they'll say the globalists are doing it. Anyway, whatever. And then what did Elon do? He went to the fucking Holocaust Museum and was like, yeah, we're good. I love Israel. I'm going to go to Israel. I'm going to look at the fucking baby cribs and say like, wow, Hamas bad. So then it's fine. Now it's fine. Jonathan Greenblatt thinks it's okay because he's pro-Israel, so he cannot be anti-Semitic. Anyway.
And I know this sounds paranoid, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong. The frame through which they view the world is oftentimes or predominantly TikTok. And on TikTok, Michael, there are 52 pro-Hamas videos for every one pro-Israel video.
Yeah, dude. For sure. For sure. Yeah, so much pro-Hamas videos popping on TikTok, dude.
So the frame through which they see the world is, in my opinion, being influenced to sow division and chaos within America and divide young from old.
Yeah. Yeah, he's saying they are trying to do chaos and divide America, young from old, so the youngs won't fuck me, an old guy. Okay. NYU professor says Hamas-loving students need to have more sex.
People aren't having enough sex, and so they go on the hunt for fake threats. And the most popular threat throughout history, type into Google anti-Semitism and pick your century, and you're going to find it. No. A Jewish girl on her way to get a manicure is not your mortal enemy. Stop it, for God's sake.
Wow, what a line, dude. What a bar. A Jewish girl on her way to get a manicure is not your mortal enemy. Yeah, no shit, dumb fuck. Let me ascribe a position to my interlocutors that they do not have so that this is more beneficial for me. Let me dunk on a straw position that I totally made up and then yell about that. Is there a single fucking person that will do a decent enough job defending the Palestinian side here? Or is it just going to be Don Lemon? That's another thing that I have noticed a lot, as a matter of fact. I have noticed something that I find very interesting. I think that the way that the Israel Defense and State Department propaganda works is definitely being realigned on the same boundaries of white supremacy. Not that, like, obviously, like, Israel isn't a white country by American standards, right? But I do think that a lot of this stuff revolves on the same, like, is basically on the same exact boundaries, same exact political and social boundaries of white supremacy. So you do see many pro-Israel supporters and those who are unconditionally in support of Israel saying stuff like, I hate Black Lives Matter, and this is what I hate even more, right? And I think that another consequence of that is that there is negative polarization from black and brown people that are like, yeah, I know what this is. I know what's going on. Like, you rarely, if you see someone who is black or brown and they are defending Israel, unless they're like, you know, I'm not talking about like Jews from the MENA region or anything like that. I'm talking like a Latino person or a black person. Like, oftentimes they're paid for it. Even if you see black people who are conservative otherwise, like that girl Esther on the panel that I was on, she was literally fucking pro-Palestine. What is this? Oh, no. Israel killed a Revolutionary Guards operative in Iran. Oh, no. A correspondent of Iran International reported that Israel killed in Tehran an operative of the Revolutionary Guards who was involved in harming Jews in Germany. Wait, what? Harming Jews in Germany? Bro, if Israel wants to stop Germans from harming Jews, they need to, like, start fucking changing their target. It's the goddamn German police department. This is untrue because I opened up Grindr in the Yale encampment yesterday, and the amount of people it showed in a 1,000 feet distance was off the charts. Wait, what? Is it fair to compare Israel and America to Japan and Nazi Germany? Yeah, I mean, I think so. I definitely believe so. I think Israel is infinitely closer to Nazi Germany than Hamas is. It's not even a question. One is a machine of death and destruction. The other is like an ascetic resistance against said machine of death and destruction. Zionism is a fascist ideology. Yeah. I saw this yesterday. I know. This is pretty crazy. All right, we'll do it. We'll cover all this as well. The target of the violence is immaterial at that point. Yeah, it's just student protests have now spread to Japan, and there's currently a big one in Tokyo. Yeah, I saw it. There's an encampment at Rutgers that's also started. I won't talk about challenges right now. Where is it? Oh, here's a Felix take. I know I keep talking about it, but it's insane to me that Robert Kraft thinks he could just talk about anti-Semitism at college. Like, we didn't all find out he was getting cranked off by trafficked women. Obviously morally bad, but also just so low rent. You have $11 billion. If you have $11 billion and need to go to $39 jerk-off stations, I look at you like you're a dog in heat. You're far too horny. You probably rub your cock on the rug in between meetings. Yeah. Remember when Robert Kraft did that? It is, I mean, something that I brought up before, but it is kind of wild. It never isn't wild. It's just like, you did not have to do that at all. You know, why does no one ask who's funding the counter protesters? Well, it's because, what do you mean? One, they're funding themselves because it's all fucking dudes with disposable income because they're 65 fucking years old. Okay? And two, there is a shit ton of organizing groups that organize on the boundaries of Judaism, even though they are literally just Israel defense squads. Like, this is a common thread that I have seen from talking to a lot of Jewish students who are anti-Zionist, both at the UCLA encampment and everywhere else, as a matter of fact. Jewish anti-Zionists in this community, no matter where they are, have one consistent fucking statement. On college campuses, when they are looking for a sense of community, Hillel and many other organizations literally operate as like a vehicle for pro-Israeli propaganda. It is wild. It's gross. I think it's disgusting that they do that. I think it's unacceptable that they do that. Yeah. Dude, who is buying these tents? The enormous modular LED screen is organic, though. Yeah. I mean, they raised like 60 grand or something, or like 90 grand in like a matter of 24 hours on GoFundMe to fucking prop this shit up. And they brought Jonathan Greenblatt over. The Zionist counter-protesters are very organized. They have a shit ton. They have a shit ton of money. They have a shit ton of experience in propping up counter-protests like this. Like, they're always going to be ready for the moment like this. This is very true. The same group goes for groups like Chabad, who are very active in academia. Exactly.
Then we will create the conditions for peace. Be respectful of this and space. Thankfully, we have to. Please be respectful of our space.
You're wearing a fucking genocidal icon on your chest.
Be respectful of our space.
Take off your IDF death tags, brother. Take off your IDF fucking vest. You're advocating for baby murder. Take that shit off. There's only one person.
The IDF dog tag should be seen as a symbol of baby murder. It should invoke a reaction that is way more visceral than wearing a fucking Hamas headband. But of course, we do not live in that world. We live in a world where obviously non-state actors are always going to be vilified extra hard, and state actors are going to be seen as totally just and totally merciful and totally permissible. Okay? You say Hamas kills babies too. You're not wrong. Okay? On October 7, Hamas absolutely, and the Palestinian resistance groups absolutely did kill children. I've talked about this. 36 of them to be exact, under the age of 18. But it is a laughable comparison to make. If we're talking about like who kills babies, they've killed 36 children under the age of 18. Israel has killed 15,000. The IDF has killed 15,000 children that we know of. And many more are orphaned as a consequence of the relentless bombing campaign. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. It's not even a question. It's the same as fucking, it is literally the same as, if not worse, than wearing an Al-Qassam Brigade headband. But the problem is, even if you wear a fucking headband at all, any headband at all that has Arabic lettering on it, everybody goes, oh, dude, you're a terrorist. How many 9/11s have the IDF done to Gaza now? I don't even fucking know. I don't know how to do the 9/11 math on that. So that is what my frustrations are with this conversation. People constantly relying on the overarching attitude that others have in public towards non-state actors participating in unjustifiable acts of violence versus state actors participating in unjustifiable acts of violence. You know? Literally, the McDonald's headquarters had an item from Saudi Arabia and changed the Saudi flag on it for same reason. I mean, the Saudi flag is also, you know, in my mind, the Saudi flag is also fucking. We get mad at the Israeli flag, but come on. It's not like Saudi Arabia doesn't have their fair share of genocides. I'm not even talking about fucking 9/11, which, you know, the Saudi kingdom or the family, the royals did facilitate and participate in. 17 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi nationals. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Yemen.
He's killing hostages. It's Netanyahu.
Please be respectful.
Netanyahu is bombing bombing hostages right now. Netanyahu is starving the hostages.
Be respectful and move out of our space.
What are you talking about? The line is there. You're on this side of the line.
Can you stop yelling and just
No, fuck off. Fuck off. I don't respect you. You're pro-genocide. Do you? You do? Tell me.
Then we will create the conditions for peace.
Be respectful of this
And
space.
thankfully, we have you. We have all.
Of course, Hassan cares more about Yemen than Americans. Well, one's a genocide. The other one is 9/11. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, 3,000 Americans dying. 3,000 Americans being murdered by fucking Saudi hijackers is like pretty fucked up, pretty bad, as you guys know. But then you have, on the other hand, like 200,000, and it's like, okay, well, sorry, I do care about like active genocide a little bit more than like one act of terror, which we totally brought upon ourselves, as you guys know, which is what I was saying when I said America deserved 9/11, which, you know, everybody fucking got real mad about for some reason. My Twitter replies are absolutely insane right now. I don't know how you deal with this regularly. I'm brain broken, and I don't care. Also, I deleted Twitter from my phone, so I never see it. And also, I understand that there is true hatred and anger in the hearts of those who go out of their way to defend the unconscionable actions of the Israeli apartheid regime that is currently doing a genocide. So I know that it's like, It's not their ideology that is motivating them to say things like this. It is actually the deep pain that they have in their hearts. Like they are spiritually unwell. Those who defend Israel after tens of thousands of babies were ruthlessly fucking murdered by Israel are actually spiritually ill. They are not happy people. They cannot be. You have so much fucking hatred in your heart. It just doesn't, there's no way. Not trying to be contentious, I completely agree with you. I'm curious what your source of those death count is. The Gazan Health Ministry is my source for the death counts, which is what the United States uses, the State Department uses, the Israeli government uses the death counts. They actually cross-reference it off of their own surveillance and population registry. Israel has a population registry for every single Palestinian living inside of the Gaza Strip. Israel knows exactly where every single Palestinian lives in the Gaza Strip. Israel is also doing 24/7 surveillance, so they have a way to cross-reference the Palestinian Gazan Health Ministry death numbers, and they do. And yet they still had the audacity to claim that the Hamas-run health ministry and their numbers are actually fake. Anyway. Yeah, by the way, the 30 to 35,000 number is most likely an undercount as a consequence of the entire healthcare structure collapsing under Israel's siege on almost every single fucking hospital. Barely leaving any hospital that's not in fucking rubble, sieging every single hospital in the Gaza Strip, and forcibly kicking out as many doctors as possible, like pushing them to the brink of destruction and collapse, and killing doctors as well, killing medical professionals, shooting ambulances and whatnot. So obviously the numbers are pretty hard to keep track of, especially at this point. White House on-campus protests over Gaza war, up to colleges and universities to decide on police presence. Nice, dude. You're not going to say that it's fucked up to sick the rabid dogs of the state on student protesters? That's pretty cool. Thank you. Anyway, we'll talk about like the counter protest and how ridiculous that shit was. But yeah, Scott Galloway has some really interesting opinions. It's because students aren't fucking. That's why they're like really angry at the genocidal state of Israel. Yeah, that's what it is. That must be what it is.
To your point before, it has become, it's become the thing to do. It's a fad. Some of the kids are out there and they don't know what they're protesting about.
Oh, thanks, Don Lemon. Shut the fuck up. What do you know? You don't know anything. You don't know anything. The fuck do you know? All you know is being a fucking careerist, okay? These kids don't know what they're protesting. Brother, it is pretty fucking black and white morally, okay? This is an issue that is not complex. This is an issue that is only complex to those who want to. No oldu? Okay. Imagine making fun of student protesters who are demonstrating the courage and the moral decency. Why are we taking the side of the people that attacked and raped women on October 7? Why do you feel the need to consistently bring up October 7 over and over again when a million October 7s have happened since October 7 on the Palestinian population? Do you feel like there's a little bias inside of you? There's a little fucking cognitive dissonance inside of your brain. You still have a crumb of consciousness. You have a conscience. Everyone does, right? Everyone does. And inside of you, there's a little voice that says, what if Israel is in the wrong? Oh my God, I don't want to think about that, which is why I have to somehow go back to October 7 to be like, no, everything Israel's doing is actually morally righteous and just. That's why you're doing it. Lean into the side of you. Lean into the emotions that you feel when you see the harrowing pictures from Gaza, basically flattened by the Israeli occupying force. Okay? Instead of trying to immediately reflexively say, alıyorum. Hangi terminal ne uçağı anne? Okay. Chatter is doing this right now. Yeah, always. It is not a complex issue, and it wasn't a complex issue before October 7, and it's not a complex issue after October 7. It has never been complex. It's actually a pretty black and white, morally pretty black and white issue. And anyone who tries to say it's complex is only doing so because it literally doesn't fit in their own mental framework. Okay? It doesn't. So I try to see the silver lining there. I try to see a positive in that. And I think that whenever people go, oh, it's a complex issue, I try to urge them to lean into why they think it's complex, because it's not actually complex at all. If roles were reversed, you would not have no issues with it at all. You would know exactly what it is. Baba kapi kapat no, because you have to understand. Yo kapat mo rin. Kapat mo kapi kapat mo. Here, I mean, Michael Brooks had a really good video on this. Obviously, rest in power, Michael Brooks. How can Democrats see this and not pivot into a more popular space? Because they are duty bound, okay? They are loyal servants of the State Department. That's why. What is this? Here.
Hi.
Hi.
So my first question, it says on your Twitter that you're Jewish. Am I getting this right?
No.
Is it the right Twitter?
On my Twitter bio, it says I'm Jewish?
No, but like in your tweets. I don't want to be wrong.
I have Jewish background. I'm just trying to think of...
Okay, so as someone with a Jewish background,
yes.
How do you feel about Bernie's plan for Israel, especially as someone concerned with foreign policy?
I love it. It's absolutely necessary. My Jewish values teach me to oppose apartheid.
Okay. Could you elaborate, please?
I mean, there really isn't that much to elaborate on. I mean, has anybody ever been not only to Israel but also to the? Have you been to? Have you been to the West Bank? Have you been to Gaza?
Yep.
You went to Gaza?
I went to the border.
Oh, okay, but not to Gaza.
You can't be in Gaza.
Well, I know people who've gone to Gaza. You could definitely go to Gaza. So for me, my politics are built on a base of, economic justice and actually really like anti-racism, as in some ways as distinct from some of this sort of woke stuff in a way. But when I was already, I grew up, I was pretty connected to left politics, so I always knew growing up about the travesty that was the human rights situation there. And I knew that people I admired, like Nelson Mandela said, South Africa is going to not be properly free until the Palestinians are free. In 2006, I believe, I read a piece by a guy named Tony Judt in the New York Review of Books, who was a really important Jewish scholar. And he just said, the argument was that, literally this is childish. The idea that you have an ethno-state or a religious state, if you're committed to any type of broad-based social, economic equity and civil society, it doesn't work. No matter how justified, right? Of course there's justification because of Jewish history for Israel. There's justification for Kurdistan because of Kurdish reality. There's justification for Pakistan. It's notable that Israel and Pakistan are both disasters. Israel not in the sense of, look, if you're a European Jewish background, you have a nice life there. If you're not, you are, even inside 67 borders, not a fully equal citizen. And the situation in the West Bank is, it is literally Jim Crow-like, and Gaza is, it's just an atrocity. So that's not something that anybody could reasonably ask me to support. And I understand, there's some actions from some Palestinian groups that, we can condemn. In fact, those have not even really been in any way seriously in play since 2003. And when we talk about, look, and the apartheid word specifically is both used by people who were crucial in ending apartheid in South Africa, like Desmond Tutu or Ronnie Kasrils, who served as intelligence minister under Mbeki, who I've interviewed. And the other main people who use the apartheid word are Ehud Olmert and Ehud Barak. So it is what it is. And I don't support second-class citizenship and occupation and sieges for anybody, no matter who they are.
Are you not concerned about the binary between either condemning Israel entirely, being like also a stance that a lot of like very strong and notorious anti-Semitic people agree with, versus like, you know, seeing this as more of a complex issue where it is wrong what's going on, and that there's also a...
It's cute. It's cute that she's like, you know, remember, this conversation is being had many, many years prior. So it's important for you to understand and acknowledge, like, this is not a conversation that's being had after October 7th. This is not a conversation that's being had on October 6th. This is a conversation from many, many years prior, before, like, I think very close to before Michael Jamal Brooks unfortunately passed away. I don't know exactly what year this is from, but I mean, it was uploaded March 9th. Oh, it's from Lafayette College College on Thursday, February 27, 2020. This is like right before he passed away. Yeah. So I've brought this clip up many, many times over, and I think it's pretty instructive. What he's about to say right here is perhaps one of the best ways to talk about the at least the moral complexity of Israel, okay? To those who say Israel is complex, like Israel's a complex issue, it's not. And you will understand why. Michael Jamal Brooks was on the Majority Report alongside Sam Cedar back in the day. He is, he's always been a leftist. He wrote for Jacobin from time to time. He had a podcast with, ironically, Anna Kasparian on the Jacobin. He is, was a good friend of mine and a wonderful, wonderful leftist figure that was also just as obsessed with making a mockery of the IDW, the intellectual dark web, for those of you who do not know, and also simultaneously was a phenomenal voice in international, like American foreign policy, phenomenal voice in representing the interests of the United States of America, or I mean, covering and criticizing the interests of the United States of America. He's a great dude. Let's not bring up my impact on his show in particular, where I asked him about dry jacking. Okay? Let's not. You don't have to always bring that up whenever I'm talking about him. You don't have to always bring up what I said on his show. All right, let's continue.
Way to do this that Israel still exists and is supported?
So it's not a complex issue. That's the big thing. It's super simple. There's one group that has enormous power. It's the most powerful country in the Middle East. It's backed by the United States. It acts on another population of people with total impunity and is never held accountable for anything. So there's no symmetry in the relationship, period. And just as like a thought experiment, IDW people, if we know that if somehow a population of Jewish refugees ended up in West Bank and Gaza, and an Arabic government in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv had an open air prison in what, you know, Jewish Gaza, which they bombed with white phosphorus, they killed civilians indiscriminately, and they had no provisions for medicine. They had an embargo that blocked food, that the electricity wasn't running, that there was an over 48% unemployment rate, life expectancy and malnutrition statistics were horrifying. One of the major policymakers in this hypothetical Arabic Palestinian state said, we need to put those Jews on a diet. In the West Bank, there was another Jewish area where there was a little bit more autonomy, but there was regular Arabic settlements where they pulled up the Jewish farmers' foods, they terrorized them with rocks, the security forces broke children's bones, and they couldn't drive on their own roads. We'd all have no problem understanding what that was. So there's nothing complex about it. The second part of your question, it's a pure asymmetry relationship. And the question is rights or not. So that's it. It's not complicated. The second part of your question, at this point, there's always going to be crackpots who are anti-Semitic who condemn Israel. That's not what drives the movement, particularly in the United States. If you work around most people who are concerned with this issue, it's actually populated with a lot of Jewish people. The real question we have to ask is, why is it that AIPAC is hosting an information minister for Slobodan Milosevic? Why is it that there's relationships between the Israeli government and far-right parties in Europe? Why is it that Benjamin Netanyahu's son is posting borderline alt-right memes? Why is it that Israel is an alt-right state, even though it is from the descendants of the victims of one of the greatest crimes in history? That's a serious question, and that's inseparable from the racism of the project, which goes back to the first part that we have to solve. But thank you. Shalom.
Anyway. Yeah, he did cook. I mean, but it's like, he didn't just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like putting an issue into very simple terms, you know, because it is very simple. It is not complex. It's only complex to those who don't understand it, and many have been conditioned into seeing only one side of the issue. And it's only complex to those who do understand it and try to desperately reframe it and shelter their own conscience from feeling like they are on the wrong side. That's it. People only say that it is complex either because they've only seen it through like an incredibly filtered lens of like relentless pro-Israel propaganda, or they see it as complex because they have seen both sides and cannot reckon with what they are defending. So they look for a way to justify Israel's abhorrent actions. Distorted lens rather than filtered and distorted. The only way you see this as a complex issue is if you just don't, you can believe in a number of different things, sometimes both, sometimes all of the above. You don't believe that Palestinians are human beings. You dehumanize Arabs and you dehumanize Muslims in particular. Or you, I don't know. I mean, that's the major role here. That's it. Like, they are scary and need to be met with an unimaginable amount of force. That's usually what it is. You either believe that, or you believe might is right, and Israel has the capacity to destroy Palestinian lives, and is, you know, doing what it needs to do. Did that October 7 chatter change his mind? I don't remember what his username was. Or did he just say October 7 and just like leave the chat? What was it? DanFan69? Yeah. Okay. Well, he's like, all right, we live to fight another day in his mind. He's like, I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. People see Palestine's retaliations as brutal and not actually trying to free their people. They think resistance has to be perfect. Yeah. They do not see the actions of the Palestinian militancy as like desperate attempts at reminding Israel that they are human, that they are there, that they cannot be pushed into a corner any further. They see it as people who are motivated simply by Jew hatred. That's it. And if you feel that way and you dehumanize them over and over again, all of a sudden, like, what demands could they have? Their demands are just killing every Jew. Not just even in Israel, just all across the board, killing Jewish people everywhere. As an outsider, it's hard to tell which information is true or not. Everything seems like propaganda. You need to you need to understand, propaganda simply just means communicating a message that is one-sided. It's all propaganda. Everything is propaganda. What I'm doing is also propaganda. Now, the difference is you can make truthful propaganda that is agitative in nature, or you can lie. Many people just assume that propaganda is a lie no matter what, and that's fine. That's why I don't usually choose to fight that fight and be like, no, propaganda doesn't always mean lies or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But yes, I will always tell you, many others will lie to you and say that they do not have a dog in this fight. They do not have a biased perspective. I am very honest, maybe to a fault. I feel like those who claim that they're neutral on any issue are lying to you. They want to have the higher ground. So they just claim that they're neutral. So you listen to what they have to say and take it for granted as though they are being objective. They're not. I tell you what my bias is. I think that a grave wrong has been committed in the inception of the Israeli state. Okay? Hansi watches cute boot confirmed. I don't know what the fuck that is. Anyway, what is this? My basic model of student protest is that in general, students don't know shit about what they're protesting against. They do it because it's cool, makes them feel like they're part of something important and want to be with their friends. This is probably right. Most people don't form political opinions through deep examination of the issues or reasoning from first principles. It's more like picking some particular fashion label or a way of dressing, especially for younger people who face more peer pressure. That's, yeah, dude, totally. They're just opportunists. All these students just want to fucking be cool. Yeah, well, guess what, dude? Sucks that Israel can't remain cool among the hearts of the youth. If that's how silly your analysis is, and you refuse to reckon, even if not every single fucking student is like running around and can immediately off top dome give you the exact fucking UN charter violations that Israel is committing on a fucking daily basis. You are supposed to be more educated. Why are you so cowardly? Why can you not do the fucking reading? You are supposed to be the educated guy. I'm an educated dude on this issue. I have this perspective because I have, your audio is like buzzing. There's noise every time you speak. Yeah, it's because there's landscapers. The thing is, you can shit on students all day, every day, even though they are on the right side of history on this issue. But it is up to you as an educated political commentator to do the reading. So if you've done the reading and you found yourself in a bind where you have to offer support to a state doing unconscionable things, you just basically you just deflect away from actually addressing the issue at hand, and you yell at students, and you rely on the memes, you rely on the meta, you do meta commentary on the protests and how silly they are because it's children that are doing the protests. Fucking address the matter at hand then. You're a political commentator, aren't you? It's very, very stupid and very cowardly. These people are cowards. They can't address it. They can't tackle it head on because they know their position is not only unpopular, but also morally abhorrent. So they just fucking cling on to random shit and try to tackle the aesthetics as best as they can. It's very, very, very cowardly. Trying to redirect the conversation. And it makes it harder when the students actually show messaging discipline and consistently communicate what the problem is. And they do it through the most knowledgeable vectors within their ranks. They use media liaisons. They use people who are very knowledgeable to represent the broader group's opinion on the matter. And that really frustrates the media because the media wants to clown on these students. The media wants to fucking make these students look foolish. They want to make them look like the protests are trendy. They want to make the protests look like they are anti-Semitic. So when they can't do that, they still argue against that position anyway. and they do everything in their power to basically turn around and act like at the top of the hour there isn't a 3-minute ad break when there is one. Now we're going to move on to the protesters in Israel before we get back to the college campus mania that is going on. Okay? But the real mania is thinking that you won't see a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour, because you will unless you are subscribed for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get one free Prime subscription a month. Use it on your favorite broadcaster. Hopefully that's me. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
Today, President Biden spoke by phone to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, warning once again about a new Israeli assault on the city of Rafah in Gaza. Also today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken left Washington for his latest trip to the region. Blinken is expected into Israel Tuesday. It will be his 7th visit since the war began in October. CBS's Deborah Pata is in East Jerusalem tonight with the very latest. Deborah.
Good evening. There is a flurry of diplomatic activity in this region this week in a last-ditch effort to revive ceasefire talks and secure a hostage deal ahead of a possible ground offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah.
The pressure is mounting on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Anger over the government's failure to bring their loved ones home has spilled onto the streets as demonstrators have stepped up their protests, which more than once have ended in scuffles with police. Prioritizing a hostage deal over the Rafah offensive has exposed cracks in Netanyahu's coalition government. The release of the hostages is our first priority, said Foreign Minister Israel Katz, adding that would mean deferring an offensive in Rafah, where more than 1.4 million Palestinians are sheltering, a move vehemently opposed by Israel's more hawkish right-wing faction. With the threat of a full-scale offensive hanging over Rafah, people here keep asking, where will they go? Much of Gaza lies in ruin. The destruction on such a scale, it is uninhabitable. And there is nowhere safe to run to. This little boy and his eldest sister are beside themselves with grief. They've already lost their mother. Now their father's been taken too. My brother is just 6 years old, Zain al-Raith screams. He's an orphan. How do I raise him? The staggeringly high civilian death toll in Gaza has sparked nationwide protests at American universities, which have not gone unnoticed by students in Rafah, whose education came to an abrupt halt with the war. They no longer have walls to spray graffiti on.
Don't know how to feel about these protests. They essentially just want to pause in genocide. Am I misreading? I don't care. Good. Okay? Anything that causes internal division inside of Israel that fucks up their plans and has to force them to not fucking invade Rafah is good. It's not a bad thing at all. It's a good thing. I don't give a shit if like every single protester on the streets that is calling for Netanyahu's assassination even, because he has not facilitated a ceasefire negotiation with Hamas and gotten hostages out, wants to then turn around and bomb Gaza into oblivion. I don't care. Okay? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. And for the record, like even those who are directly in the line of sight recognize that reality as well. That's why when Hamas released a hostage video recently, we watched it 2 days ago. 2 of the hostages were in the obviously scripted hostage video that was released. They said, "Keep up the protests. We want to return home." The article has been going around on Zionist propaganda networks, and many of my Zionist friends have sent it to me. What is this? Message from a Gazan to campus protesters: "You're hurting the Palestinian cause." This is the classic. Hello, I am Iranian. My people, please do not look at where I am actually joining from. It says Langley, Virginia, but I am actually Iranian. Please nuke Tehran. I want nothing more than my people to survive by nuclear apocalypse. Please. My people yearn for freedom. I am Iranian. It's the same shit. Marxism, the protests are way more than that. No. We're talking about the protests inside of Israel. Marxism, not the fucking student protests. Obviously, the student protests are about a permanent ceasefire, emancipation for the Palestinians, divestment from like the corporations that fund and facilitate Israel's apartheid regime and genocide. That's not what we're talking about. That chatter asked me a question about the protests happening inside of Israel. Protests happening inside of Israel against the Netanyahu government. And those protests are specifically conducted by Israelis who are both friends and family members of the hostages, and many others who find it ridiculous that the Netanyahu camp has done basically nothing to save the hostages and has done way more to kill them. Ugopnik, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream, brother. Anyway, where the frick were we? Oh yeah, let's finish this up.
Instead,
by the way, you can see like what the people of Gaza actually believe. They are not quiet about how much they appreciate anyone and everyone in the Western world offering support to the Palestinian plight. This has always been the most consistent thing. The most consistent messaging you hear from Palestinians is, please do not let us die in quiet. Do not let our deaths be in vain. Do not allow Israel to continue ethnically cleansing us. Speak out. Speak out about it. Tell others, bring awareness to this, and try to do your very best to put an end to, what is this? Interview with the Gazan? Ugh, this is such a fucking idiotic, desperate attempt to cut propaganda, and I am not even remotely shocked that CNN would try to do this, okay? No, my microphone is not acting up. I just have landscapers outside, okay? Outside of my goddamn window. That's what it is. Pro-Palestinian student activists, many of whom are Jewish, pro-Palestinian student activists say their movement is anti-Zionist but not anti-Semitic. It is not a distinction that everyone buys. I love these things because it's like you just see in real time how they manufacture consent.
showing their gratitude on the tents they now call home.
Also, can you guys not send me this on fucking Instagram and instead send me this as a YouTube video so I can actually watch it? I love you guys, but I'm sure this exists on YouTube as well, right? Like, that is a crazy thing to send. Here it is on Twitter. Oh, this is the guy. Hamza, Palestinian, peace advocate, and an accountant. And a fucking moron.
I'd like to think that what...
All right, anyway. Tweet from the same guy. Some people were fine with Hamas did on October 7, with Hamas kidnapping more than 2 million Gazans for years and using them as human shields and sources of funding, donations, and we're not upset because Hamas kidnapped more than 200 hostages, the majority of whom have been in Hamas custody for more than 200 days. Said nothing of the children Hamas killed during the war to loot aid, but we're furious because I published a paper and did an interview asking for more peaceful protests, no use of anti-Semitism, and stop glorifying Hamas. Thank you for the threats. I won't back down. Dude, I hope your check is clearing, dude. Okay? Fucking asshole. I like that they found one dude who can be like, I'm Palestinian. And I think that it's Israel are not the bad guys, but the good guys, trying their very best. They got one, which is ironic because there are a shit ton more anti-Zionist Jews than there are Palestinians who will say unhinged dumbass shit like this. So that's why they get fucking so mad. Zionists hate more than anything, maybe with the same ferocity, the hatred that they have for Palestinians, they have for anti-Zionist Jews. They openly will be like, yeah, no, they are the Uncle Ruckus of Jews. Like, they will openly say that. They're like, they're bad Jews. They are actually not good Jews. They're capos. Like, all this unconscionable bullshit. There are 4 Palestinian dudes who are grifters, actually. Yeah, like that John Aziz guy is another one. And then the other one is the son of Hamas who loves Israel. The son of Hamas, what is it, like Ismail Hania's son or some shit? I love that guy. The son of Hamas guy, John Aziz, the Palestinian poet living in England, and then I guess this guy. I am son of Hamas. There's also a guy, Jihad Saftawi. He's really fucked up. Why can't people comprehend 2 things are bad at once? Israel's treatment of Palestinians is horrible. Hamas are also horrible for Palestine. Neither of those things contradict the idea of ceasefire and aid to the injured. The reason why people can't comprehend 2 bad things at once is not because they have like an unimaginable amount of anti-Semitism. It's because they see that one wrong is unimaginably worse than the other. Okay? That's why. It's like fucking getting mad at a dude who fucking who punches back. Okay? While their entire family's being slaughtered. It's ridiculous. You cannot both sides of genocide. It is identical to looking at the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising led by Jewish resistance groups and saying, well, they brought it upon themselves. It only works if you legitimately believe, that Palestinians have to be dominated. Okay? That's it. That's why I fucking yell at people who try to both sides of genocide. There is no both sides, man. It's fucking ridiculous.
The students feel.
He's talking about the Israeli side? No, he's not. He's talking about why people don't offer like immediate and consistent condemnation of Hamas or any kind of Palestinian militancy on a regular fucking basis when shit like this is happening. It's so funny to think like you see cops violently brutalizing peaceful pro-Palestinian demonstrators in the Western world and go, yeah, there's both sides to this. It just happens to be that one side and they're fucking cronies, and those who defend that one side keep doing all of the fucking violence. Think about it, chatter. Think about it. On the one side, you got a fucking 17-year-old orphan, okay, with a goddamn bathtub sniper rifle defending his fucking remaining fraction of a homeland from one of the most well-oiled military machines on the fucking planet that has already killed his family members. Like, how the fuck do you look at that and go, oh man, well, both sides are in the wrong here? It's like being shot, but in the process of being shot, you punched back. And going, why did you punch back? You wouldn't have been shot if you didn't punch back. Well, you shot me after. I mean, you shot me before I punched back.
Hands up our students!
Hands up our students! Hands up our students! Hands up our students!
Where was this police response during January 6th? Well, the police were the ones who were already doing January 6th, so it's kind of hard for them to respond to themselves, don't you think? You can ask that same question and be like, where was the police response at Uvalde? Well, once again, they were scared. They are not scared when someone is a peaceful student protesting against genocide. They love that. That's their favorite thing to do. Cracking fucking skulls in this situation is what the major role of the police is. Look at this fucking guy. You think this guy's ever saved anybody? The fuck out of here.
Let them go.
All right, we'll get back to this. Let's finish this off.
Aid groups have warned that an invasion of Rafah would worsen the already desperate humanitarian situation in Gaza, Jerika, where famine looms.
Deborah Patta reporting in East.
We strongly support Israel in its effort to ensure that what happened on October 7th never happens again.
When you said there's a lot that can happen in a year when talking about Biden's chances to win last year, I never expected him to get more and more unpopular with the youth. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that he would be this fucking nutty and this disinterested in his own re-election chances.
But at the same time,
yeah, it's so generous. Thank you, Blinken.
We are determined to do everything we can to bring an end to the terrible human suffering that we're seeing every single day.
Yeah, the weekend donated another $2 million to the Gazan charities. I saw my fucking goat. Yeah, Abel is the king, dude. The weekend pledges $2 million to provide food for humanitarian support in Gaza. A legend. I'm also working with some people to see if I can get some celebrities who are willing and able to communicate their positions on Gaza and Palestinians. All these people protesting are lunatics and hippies. Have you seen them? They don't care about Palestine. They just want to be seen in a protest. They couldn't care less about Palestine. Those people won't win this for you. How much have you pledged? We as a community raised more than $1.3 million. I've given, I think, around like 75 grand personally in total. But, you know, beyond that, I've attended protests. I've covered the Palestinian plight for more than 10 years very publicly. But on top of that, I've also attended the protests myself personally, helped the student protesters, interviewed the student protesters in general. Ironic because the hippies that you're talking about in the 60s were also morally in the right. The hippies, the terminology that you're using for, and it has done you good, right? No, it really hasn't. I have, I mean, not that like I am not a victim of this at all. Obviously, my personal experiences, getting death threats, being called up, being branded an anti-Semite regularly, losing out on the remaining marginal brand deals that I already had, and 10,000 members off of this community just fucking leaving, never to return. Well, they're slowly trickling back in now. Is nothing in comparison to what Palestinian children are experiencing on a fucking daily basis. But notice how you went from how much have you pledged to it has done you good. Actually, it doesn't. What would do me good is shutting the fuck up about this issue and maybe even chirping about the student protesters, which is what you want, right? You want me to hear, you want to hear that. Now, not only do you want to hear that from me, you want to hear that from everyone else. However, you also probably have noticed that many content creators refuse to talk about this issue. Why do you think they refuse to talk about this issue? They don't talk about this issue because it is considered very polarizing, and they don't want to be offensive, and they also don't know any better. They don't want to fucking do the reading. They don't want to understand what the fuck's going on. Or even if they do, they very rarely talk about it because there are a lot of fucking freaks like you, okay, who come into their communities and start chirping at them. And I, obviously, am very capable of dealing with chirpers such as yourself. But many are not. They see that and they think you're like a normal person and not some fucking freak who is defending an apartheid, who's defending a genocidal regime. Now, the thing is, the protesters are not there for themselves, are there for Palestine, they're there for themselves is also a laughable fucking delusional thing to say, as we are currently looking at what is happening to these student protesters as a consequence of their brave decisions. They're doing something that is right. They're doing something that is righteous. They're doing something that is incredibly brave. Okay? They're putting their bodies on the line. You, on the other hand, have never done anything for someone else. So you can't comprehend another person protesting for children that are being ruthlessly slaughtered with our tax dollars thousands of fucking miles away. You can't comprehend it, so you project and you say, I'm selfish, I'm narcissistic, so others must be as well. So there must be a different motivation here. That's it. All you have done is demonstrate your selfishness here. That's it. They might think it's right, but it's not helpful. There you go. And now you've moved the goalpost. First you said they are doing this for selfish reasons. Now you're like, okay, well, even if they're not doing it for selfish reasons, it's not helpful. It absolutely is helpful. It absolutely is helpful. Even when you see, maybe not you in particular, but when others with like a shred of consciousness see 18-year-olds getting fucking cracked in the skull by a militant state for the crime of exercising their freedom of speech, for putting into practice what they learn in school about genocide being wrong, okay? Other people do also feel like maybe this situation is fucked up. So no, you're wrong. It is actually very helpful. But once again, It does not matter. They annoy people than they what? They annoy more people than they let people think. Yeah, okay, dude. No, they annoy you because you don't give a shit. That's the problem. Okay? You think everyone else is just as selfish and as stupid as you are in the face of so much death and destruction. You are the fucking dumbass peasant-brained idiot that says, "No, it's fine that my fucking tax dollars go to weapons that Israel will deploy on top of a civilian population in an open-air prison instead of the fucking potholes in my community, instead of fixing the fucking education system in this goddamn country." You're fine with that. Many people are not, though. You are in the minority, okay? You are now in the margins. Have you seen the news outside your bubble? I have. You want to know something? Let me tell you. Let me show you news outside of my bubble, okay? Biden's disapproval rating. That's news outside of my fucking bubble, dumb fuck. The majority of Americans think that Biden's handling of Israel is unconscionable and abhorrent and awful. The majority of Americans disapprove of Biden's mishandling on the issue of Israel. So what's up with that? I never said anything about Israel-Palestine. I'm talking about the protesters. Those protesters are protesting what, dumb fuck? Once again, you're in here chirping and saying, oh, this is just in your bubble. Why are you saying this? It's because this is a desperate last-ditch attempt to make yourself feel like you're the normal one. Okay? That's it. You are in the margins. There aren't as many people as you think that believe in the same things that you believe in. Okay? That's it. And when faced with the reality, the cold hard truth, you just keep moving the goalposts. You just shifted the attention to another talking point, to another talking point, to another talking point. There you go. Here's your bubble bursting, I guess. Beyond the moral abomination, dick riding Israel this hard is the Democratic Party's version of Republicans trying to further criminalize abortion. 71% of U.S. adults disapprove of Biden's handling of Israel-Palestine. 71%. And that number is 81% in our age demographic, 18 to 35, 81% of Americans in the age group 18 to 35 disapprove of Biden's handling of Israel. Wake up. You are the one who is in an echo chamber. You are the one who is deluded here. And these numbers are happening in spite of the dedicated, deliberate, careful, calculated media attempt to manufacture consent for Israel's unconscionable, abhorrent actions. Even then, people see the reality and say, enough is enough. It's not going to stop and it's not going to go away. And the more police resist to people demonstrating, exercising their First Amendment rights, saying no more genocide. You have to stop. Not in our name, not with our tax dollars. You cannot let Israel continue doing this. The more you fucking, the more people try, the more the state tries to desperately squash this kind of protest, the more that protest momentum will grow. Sharing a message from a friend in Gaza, the students at solidarity encampments everywhere. I'm from Palestine. Gaza loves you for what you guys did in the universities. Really, from my heart, I had goosebumps. Thank you for your support and for your voice. I really thank everyone. Protest to Palestine. You have no idea how this affects us and me. Palestinians are seeing it. That's the other side. Palestinians need awareness desperately. They understand that their situation can only change if enough Americans protest and increase pressure upon their government. Enough people in the Western world stop offering unconditional support to Israel. It's bullshit. But go ahead, keep chirping. Go ahead, keep chirping. Your voice may have been heard on October 8, 9, and 10th. But as we pass the 200th day of Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign, there are less and less people who are awful enough to openly say they still support this shit. Anyway. This might be somewhat substantive if the protests were undirected and only had general demand for a ceasefire. Their demands are also completely material and achievable. Divestment is possible and would be very consequential if implemented. Yes. This has never happened before. This level of support for Palestinians have never happened. Technically, Tim, thank you for the 50 community gifted subs. What is it? Pantani001? Is he still in the chat? Is he still chirping? Isn't Israel doing this for the past decades? What's going to change? Again, now you have given up on the other talking points. So now you're just saying, well, Israel's been doing this for quite some time. Well, guess what, dude? This time it's different. This time more people are aware of it. And you're also talking to a person who has been speaking on these issues very publicly for the past decade. Okay? There are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen.
In Gaza, among children, women, men, who've been caught in a terrible crossfire of Hamas's making. And so maximizing protection of civilians, maximizing the support that gets to them, this is very much our focus. Now, the quickest way to bring this to an end is to get to a ceasefire and the release of hostages. Hamas has before it a proposal that is extraordinarily generous on the part of Israel. And in this moment, the only thing standing between the people of Gaza and a ceasefire is Hamas. They have to decide, and they have to decide quickly. So we're looking to that, and I'm hopeful that they will make the right decision. We've said clearly and for some time now on Rafah that in the absence of a plan to ensure that civilians will not be harmed, we can't support a major military operation in Rafah. And we have not yet seen a plan that gives us confidence that civilians can be effectively protected.
On Friday, Israeli Prime Minister...
Now let's get to some fun news, some good news, which may not actually occur, may not happen, but, you know, we'll cover it nonetheless. The ICC might be possibly, potentially, issuing some arrest warrants.
Benjamin Netanyahu said any decision by the International Criminal Court, which is investigating Hamas's October 7th attacks and Israel's military assault on Gaza, would not affect Israel's actions, but would set a dangerous precedent.
A dangerous precedent that war criminals could potentially be charged for their war crimes by the International Criminal Court that is set up specifically to do exactly that thing. Guys, this would be very dangerous if war criminals can't do war crimes because the War Criminal Court will actually prosecute them. That's pretty fucking dangerous, man. Yeah, dangerous for who? The fucking war criminals. Suck my dick.
We're going to break that down now with Doug Herbert, who joins me on set. Doug, just to start first, we have to explain that this is, at this point, just media speculation. There's no official confirmation from the ICC, but Israeli officials are acting as they are about to get some sort of warrant against them.
Yeah, well, first of all, it is, at this point, like you said, media speculation. That is based on reports in various press outlets, including the New York Times, including the Israeli press. But there's also no reason to believe that these sources are just whistling in the wind. This is speculation based on people who are very close to the matter, very well informed, which lends credence to the fact, to the possibility, as you said, that the ICC, the International Criminal Court, is allowed to act. Now, first, the ICC must be distinguished from the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. The ICC is the only international permanent court that can pursue individuals, as opposed to countries, right? Actual individuals for things like genocide, charges of war crimes, charges of crimes against humanity. That's why any decision that it makes, its judges make, carry a very...
Who would carry out the arrest? How would this work? I mean, technically, the way it works is once this happens, once there's an arrest warrant, like there is one for Vladimir Putin right now, okay? Technically, the moment that you leave Russian soil for Vladimir Putin, you could get arrested. Obviously, America would never follow through on it. The reason why I'm using Vladimir Putin as an example is because Vladimir Putin was brought up over the potential child kidnapping case in the ICC a while back due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine and also the subsequent actions that the Russian military has taken directed by Vladimir Putin. It could be Interpol. It could be like state actors in and of themselves who are following what you're supposed to do. Then isn't it useless? No, none of this is useless. Student protests would be useless as well. If you think this is useless, then we shouldn't do anything. We should just let Israel do whatever the fuck it wants. No, of course this is useful. If it's real, which I don't think it is, but if this is real, of course this is a major fucking move. Are you kidding me? It opens up another fucking pressure vector against Israel. It makes it infinitely more costly to unconditionally defend Israel. All of this is good. Anything that creates more pressure for Israel's unconscionable actions is a good thing. Because then protests happen. Because demands are made by the public. If it actually wasn't, if any of these things were, if all of these things were completely and utterly useless, then the American government wouldn't be sending fucking rabid dogs of the state to crack the skulls of student protesters. Okay? They wouldn't be trying to violently stop any kind of demonstration from happening. They know it's useful. And they fail in that sense as well, because when they do actually meet those protesters with violent means, they end up galvanizing them further.
Big moral burden, a moral weight. You could say a moral rebuke. And what the specific warrant would be based on, according to the sources, all speculation at this point, is that Israel is accused of preventing the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza, but also of being overly aggressive, overly zealous, and in its response to the October 7th terrorist attacks by Hamas against Israel. So those are the two main planks of the would-be arrest warrant, which some say they are poised to issue. But like you said, Netanyahu has already been, according to the same reports, for the past 10 days or so. He hasn't explicitly said this or talked about it, but really been very worried about the prospect that the court could issue these types of warrants. And to the extent that some of these reports suggest that Israel's decision-making is already being informed by the possibility of this warrant. That is, it's like Minority Report. The crime hasn't happened yet, but the actions of the would-be accused already reflect the possibility of that accusation coming down the line. So in other words, the Israeli leaders are reportedly already moderating or or making more moderate their actions based on the possibility of this, perhaps to mollify the judges. Remember, 3 judges on the panel of the ICC have to give their clearance in order for an arrest warrant to be issued. That has reportedly, that process, that phase has been complete, which is why there's a lot of speculation that it is imminent that some kind of warrant could come down the line, naming perhaps Netanyahu, naming his defense minister, Yoav Gallant, and perhaps also the chief of the Israeli Defense Forces, Halevi.
Well, let's say that does happen. What impact would those warrants have concretely, particularly given the fact that the U.S. is reportedly not on board with this?
Concretely, there's going to be no immediate legal impact, exactly for the reasons you said. As long as the U.S. and some others, Israel and the U.S. are not members of this court, they do not recognize or do not feel bound by the decisions of this court. So as long as the U.S. has Israel's back on this, concretely, you can't expect much to come of it. But like I said already, there is that dimension of a moral rebuke. And already Israel has been coming under mounting scrutiny, mounting international pressure for what is perceived by many in the international community as an overzealous response to the Hamas attacks. A response, to be sure, that Israel has really fought back against. Israel has been really angry all along. I rate many of its officials, even more moderate ones. They feel like every 5 minutes they have to re-explain to the international community that Israel are the victims. They are not the aggressors here. They're the victims. They feel like they are being unfairly blamed for a response to a horrible terrorist attack that if any other country took the same actions, they would not come under the same scrutiny. But that said, they have been coming under that scrutiny. It's been mounting. And now you have the...
Bro, there is... Like, there are equivalents to Israel's actions, except, like, they're in textbooks for the most part. Okay? The idea that, like America did an unimaginable injustice in its invasion of Iraq, in its sanctions on Iraq originally, but its invasion of Iraq, its invasion of Afghanistan, right? So many civilians were directly executed by the American military engine, okay? The American military machine. The notion that, like, even America did not do the things that Israel has been doing for the past 7 months should cause you to understand how fucked this situation actually is. And also, there is a direct example of a country that is not within the Western sphere of influence that has done these things. Russia. And even then, Russia has done an unimaginable wrong. The Russian state has done an unimaginable wrong by invading Ukraine, by killing a shit ton of people in Ukraine. Okay? Guess what? International condemnation was swift. Sanctions were swift. It was not even a question. Everyone was like, yep, that's it. The same ICC has already issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. It's ridiculous to say, like, oh, no other country would get this kind of scrutiny. It's like, no, dude. No other country in contemporary society gets to do what Israel is doing as publicly as Israel has done it, with unconditional Western support and political cover. It has never happened. And the times where it has happened is in the history books. No, most of the third world didn't care about sanctions. Only the Western world sanctioned Russia. Yes, dude, because most of the fucking global South is being dominated by American interests and Western interests. So they're hedging their bets against that kind of thing. That's all they're doing. And who's there as a counterweight to that? Russia and China. That's it. The global South not participating in the same level of sanctions regime against the Russian government does not change the reality, does not change the moral calculation of Russia's actions. Okay? I don't care. I'm looking at this objectively. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been unjustifiable and was unjustifiable from the jump. And it has been genuinely brutal to a completely different sovereign nation with 44 million people in it. Okay?
Damn, this guy's good.